Hello everybody. I am going to show you how to make a very cute and simple card today. So we're going to get started. You're going to need a half a sheet of cardstock. I've got crumb cake here. You're going to need another piece of crumb cake that measures 3 inches or 3 3/4 inches by 5 inches. And then a piece of Whisper White for the inside of your card. This is 4 by 5 1/4. You're also going to need some die cut elements. You could also do this with stamps, but I thought it was really fun to use some die cut leaves. These are from the tropical dies that coordinate with the tropical chic bundle. So we're going to be using those. And then I'm going to show you some really easy things that you can do to make your card look fancier than it really is. So we're going to start out by folding our card in half, and then we're going to burnish that edge. We're going to set that aside. Now I'm going to take this piece here, and we're going to use our paper trimmer. Oh, sorry about that. And I'm going to move my die cuts. So your paper trimmer has a cutting blade, which I have marked cut on mine, and a scoring blade. So we're going to be using the scoring blade. So we're going to take and we're going to place our cardstock in, and you can see I'm going right up to that quarter mark. So that's that first line right there. And then I'm going to, if I can hold it in place, I'm going to just score. So then I'm going to open it up, I'm going to move it up 1/8 of an inch, and I'm going to score again. I'm going to do this on all the sides of this card, or this piece of cardstock. So 1/4 inch, and then move it up to 3/8 of an inch. And you could do this all kinds of different ways. You don't have to go just right around your edges. You could do it diagonally. You could just have some lines toward the bottom. You could do it any way you want. The important thing to remember is that you use the scoring blade and not the cutting blade, because otherwise you're going to have to start all over. So let me do this last 2. There. And we are done. So I'm going to move this out of the way. All right, so that's what you have left. So these lines that are scored are just nice and subtle, but they have really stepped it up a notch. So I'm going to set that aside. Now I'm going to take my leaves. You could use the leaves just as they are, but I often like to add a little bit of texture to my leaves. And the way I do that is by using some background stamps. So I've chosen, this is Granny Apple Green for the cardstock, and I've chosen Pear Pizzazz. And then I am using this background from the Label Me Bold. So that's this element here. But I wanted to show you a few others that you could use. Look through your stamps. You might be surprised at what you have. Here is Geared Up Garage. I've used this stamp a lot for doing texturing. There are stamp sets that are made precisely for adding textures, such as the Artisan Textures and Gallery Grunge right here. This one is from Painted Poppies, so we've used this quite a bit with this splatter looking element. And then don't forget about some of your flowers, because this is a hydrangea, but this does great texturizing on pieces. So look through your stash and see what you might have. So I'm going to take my Pear Pizzazz, and I'm just going to stamp over them and just kind of randomly do this. There is no real rhyme or reason to it. And you can add as much or as little as you want. And this also gives it kind of the look of a designer series paper, but all you've done is just added a little bit of ink to that. So I'm going to go ahead and set these aside. So for this card, we actually need 3 of these elements on the outside, and we're going to be placing them on this top panel. So I'm going to have them alternating like so. So I usually like to start with the middle one. So I'm going to take my multi-purpose glue and I'm just going to add a little bit of glue. Now you could use your sponge and add a little glue using your silicone mat, but I'm just going to add a little bit of glue down the spine, and then I'm going to place that right there in the middle of my panel. All right, then we're going to do the other two. Again, we're just going to add a little tiny bit of glue right down the middle. I don't want too much oozing out. And then I'm going to place this one. And then we will do our third one. And this one is also heading down. All right, so a little bit of glue oozed out there, but it will dry clear. All right, so this part is ready to set aside. This one we are going to use on the inside. So I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of glue on this one. And this one I'm going to try to catch just a little bit of my, I'm going to try catch a little bit of my leaves. And I'm just going to place this in this corner of this panel. Okay. Now we have some scraps here. These are just some scraps from when I trim paper. And I am going to be using the Itty Bitty Greetings. This is a fabulous stamp set because it has all kinds. It's got 32 different sentiments and they're all small. Very great for these tiny little sentiment strips. So I'm choosing that one. And I'm going to be using I Miss You because I do miss all of you. So for that I decided I'm going to do with Granny Apple Green to match the color of my leaves. So I'm just going to tap this up and I'm going to see if I can do this without hitting my camera. Oh, not too bad. All right, close that up. Set that aside. All right, so then what I like to do now is just try to eyeball where I might want to flag the end. So this is going to go pretty much across the card. And so I'm just going to make a little pencil dot about where I want to flag this. And I'm going to use my little triple banner punch. And so this is going to slide in. Oops. Actually, let me trim it a little bit so it's easier. All right, so we're going to slide this in and we're just going to eyeball it right where we have our little dot and snip that. And we're going to turn it over and we're going to put that right there and snip it off. And then we have our banner. All right, so this is going to go pretty much in the middle of our card. So what I like to do is I'm just going to turn it over and we're going to lay it out and we're going to be using some mini dimensionals. And I'm going to try to just line that up pretty much where the leaves separate from one another. So I've got one on either side, and then I'm going to put a mini dimensional on the very end of the banner. All right, we'll take this off, peel off our backings. You can use your take your pick tool if you want to, but my nails do a pretty good job. And then, oh, I think I missed one. All right, then we are just going to hold this down and put it in the middle. All right, now we're going to use some full-size dimensionals, and we're going to pop this up on our card base. So I like to give 6 of these. I like them in the corners and then a little bit in along the sides. Just gives it support so it's not going to be drooping. And then we've got our card base, and we're just going to put that right there. And then the last step is to put on our inside panel. Here, I better sit down. So I'm going to put a tiny bit of glue. Remember, you don't want too much glue. And then we're going to center this on the inside. And there you have it. Very simple card, didn't take you very long to do. And using the itty bitty greetings, you've got all kinds of different sentiments. So here was an earlier one that I had made, sending prayers, and I chose to do that in the crumb cake ink. And then this all started from me cleaning up my office and wanting to use up bits and pieces. So here's a card that I made. These were done with the dies that go along with the Positive Thoughts stamp set. And I had done these with the pigment sprinkles, and they were left over, so I was just using them up. So I set them on here, and then that was the inside. So this was my inspiration to make this card for you. So once again, I made the I Miss You Today, and then this was the original one that I had made, Sending Prayers. So I hope you liked my very first video. I will be making more of these, and hopefully I'll get it figured out where I can show you my face and then turn it down and show the work surface. But for now, here you have it. Thanks for watching.